Welcome in to the Arkansas Sports Network's Hometown Sports Football Preview, proudly presented by Arkansas Tech University, D3 Auto Sales, and by Metcalf Trucking Company. Today we sit down with Parkview Patriot head coach Brad Bolding. This pigskin preview is brought to you by Bill Lee Service Company Air Conditioning.
All right, I'm here with Parkview Patriots head football coach Brad Bolding. Coach Bolding, you guys have built a winning culture here at Parkview. This is, you've had stops in the past as a head coach before this, but this is the one where it seemed to really come together, and you've built what some would call a dynasty here at Parkview. You guys have you just had a player commit to Oklahoma the other day. So tell me about what you guys have done here to build this program into a powerhouse, especially on such a tough landscape here in Little Rock, where there's a lot of teams that are super successful, and what you guys do day in and day out to maintain that.
Yeah, so I think the big thing for us is that we demand our players to have excellence and discipline, and when they walk in the door each day, they know that they're going to work. They're not going to walk out here and not feel like they've gotten better. That's our ultimate goal when we practice each day. Is our goal is to get better. It's something I know a lot of coaches say, but it's really, that's the name of the game, and you got to be here to get better. And so that's something that we don't let people miss. If you miss too many days, you're out of here. Luckily we're beyond those days of, worrying about kids transferring or leaving or anything like that. You still got to do a good job as a coach on making sure you keep your players, especially with the way, high school football is right now and where we're located. The kids are just moving around left and right. And so we've done a good job with that. We built that culture, like you said, and I've got a great staff, man. I've been able to put together, I think, it's been one of the best staffs that I've ever had. They work hard. They don't have to be told to do something. They take initiative, and they know the game of football. That's important. So our kids are learning the game. And if you look at any interviews from any of our players that have been on TV, people will ask them, "What do y'all do?" And it's like every one of them they run it like a college program, and basically we do. I think that's a big, pat on our backs when our players go to a college and go, it's all the same stuff we already been doing, coach, and the running and lifting, and so I know that part of it, we've got that. We're doing the right things, and it's just a thing, man, that we just demand excellence. I'll give you just one quick example. If your shoestring comes out untied, we're going to bounce. And the whole purpose of that, and I got that from Alabama years ago. It's just little things in a game usually what get you beat. It's you don't block this guy right. It's you need 1 yard for a first down, and just one little thing happens. And so that's something that we really have harped on, from lockers to bending over when you're tired to even saying, I'm tired, I'm hot, I'm cold. All those things are just negative things that just bring people down. And so we try to keep a positive atmosphere, and then we really will let our seniors lead. And we teach them how to do that by players showing an example. And then last year's group, obviously, it was a really good group of seniors. They went 14-0 and won the state championship.
Mm-hmm. You guys, prior to some of the conference realignment that's happened in the last 4 or 5 years, you guys were playing against the Pulaski Academies and the Little Rock Christians and teams like that were in your class. Mm-hmm. Tell me about what it means to you guys to be playing in this landscape of Little Rock football that has, speaking of Pulaski Academy, they've gone on and they've played teams in Texas and Tennessee and
Sure.
shown Arkansas is on that level, and of course, you guys have recruits that are going and playing at schools like Oklahoma, big blue chip schools.
Mm-hmm.
So, what does it mean to you guys to be playing on this landscape that really is growing into one of the best in the country?
Yeah, so we were my first year here, this will be my 8th year. So my first year here, man, I mean, these guys have never been scared to play, folks. I mean, that's when PA and Christian were in our conference. And I mean, PA, I'll never forget it. My first year, they had to kick a field goal. We were up by 2 to win the game. And that was when Hatcher was there, had a heck of a team. It's amazing what they've been able to do over there. But so our guys have played those guys really well. We hadn't never really played Little Rock Christian very well, but the rest of them, I mean, we beat Greenwood when we were in 6A. Ended up playing them in the semifinals at their place and them beating us. But I mean, our kids battled through some really good opponents. And of course, last year with Bryant, I mean, that was a huge feather in their cap, especially for that senior group that just graduated. But our kids just, they know the expectation when they come in here, and they don't put up with nothing. I mean, especially if our young guys come in here, their expectations are high. And they demand those kids to come in here and work hard, and because otherwise they're going to be bouncing. And so I don't know if I answered the question, but I just feel like it all started when we first got here, when we were 6A, and we were playing those really good teams. Almost beat Benton that same year. We played North Little Rock, took them down to the wire. We weren't very good, but they wanted to win, and that's something I think those guys laid that groundwork early on against some really good Little Rock teams, and we lost some kids too to Robinson and those teams back when we were battling and building the program, and luckily we've been able to overcome all that. We've had some great players that bought into what we're doing, and that's why we've been able to win.
Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about your team's schedule this year. Obviously, you guys tend to schedule some tough teams year in and year out. You mentioned Bryant last year, that you guys went down to the wire and ended up winning that game. So tell me about who you guys scheduled this year and why you scheduled those teams the way you did.
Yeah, so when I was at North Little Rock, we went to Longview, played them really well back when I had Tim Penny and a really good football team. Well, this year, it just worked out really well where North Little Rock dropped us, and we were able to find a team in Texas, Melissa, Texas. They have a $35 million stadium. It's the biggest stadium. It's surpassed Allen as far as size. It's beautiful. So it's going to be a great atmosphere. It's a Saturday game, and it's for Children's Cancer Awareness. And I think on Friday night, it'll be Allen, Texas, and maybe McKinney playing, and then we play Melissa on Saturday at their place. So it'll be a great challenge for us. We'll have to have, we're going to have to play good football. They claim to have the best offensive line in the state of Texas. And just seeing some video, I would agree. They're really good. One of their offensive linemen is committed to Oklahoma as well. So it'll be a game with a lot of talent. We have a live stream now, so they'll be there with all kinds of angles. So I think people that aren't able to make it will really enjoy being able to watch it. And then after that, we come back. That's week 0, so that's August 31st, and then we got Maumelle over there. That'll be a great game. A lot of athletes in that game on both sides. And then we got Bryant at home. So I'm assuming I'd love to see a Salt Bowl type crowd. That'd be really awesome. I think it'll be a really good crowd because of what happened last year, and it's 2 really good football teams.
Mm-hmm. Moving into conference, who do you guys play now that the realignment has happened this time around? Teams moving in and out of the classification. I believe Harding moves out of they're in 4A now. They're in 5A.
They're in 5A out the east. They'll do well.
Yeah, and of course Shiloh moves up, and public and private schools moving all around. So tell me about how that affects you guys and your conference this season.
Doesn't affect us this year. We don't have anybody. We're in the South, so we don't have anybody that's growing tremendously where they're going to grow out of the 5A. Some of them are actually shrinking, in the South. So we'll still continue to play the Texarkanas and Hopes and Magnolias and Camdens and those teams. And And then, yes, Harding Academy came in. It seems like someone else. I'm not sure. Maybe it was just Harding Academy, but they'll do well. And, there's probably a chance that they won't be in 5A long. I mean, they get into the playoffs, that clock starts for them. So they do a good job there. I'm glad to see new faces. Anytime we can play someone else, our kids enjoy it, just new faces. So it'll be interesting to see. There's these. One thing I'll say about 5A, I've been very impressed, and I've coached just about every level, from college all the way down, and coaches do a really good job in our conference, and especially in 5A, we've played against some teams that will scheme you pretty well, and so we gotta really dot our I's and cross our T's this year, especially because people are gunning for you. I mean, crap, you win 2 in a row and you go 14-0. I mean, you have a tremendous target on your back. So,
tell me about your roster this year. As you mentioned, you guys have some college prospects on your team, but maybe there are some guys outside of those couple of players that really do the dirty work and don't get a whole lot of recognition, especially maybe some offensive linemen or players like that maybe don't get their name called on Friday nights, but they're out there working hard. So tell me about who your key contributors are on your team, first of all, who people are going to know, and then some guys that you think might have had a good off season or something like that you think deserve some recognition.
Yeah. So obviously our quarterback, Quentin Murphy, who's committed to Arkansas. He's not going to be a quarterback in college, but he'll probably be a receiver, a defensive back, can fly, and the guy can run. And we played him in the semifinals when he was a sophomore. He took one to the house on us, and I think we have one of the fastest teams in the state. So he's impressive, and he's big. He's a big kid, strong. He's really gotten a lot stronger since he's been here, and I think we've done a good job of developing him, and we're still working on that as well. Obviously, Monty, Ontario Elston, does things very Sanders, and I coach running backs, but I don't fool with him. I'm typically a one-cut north and south guy, and I have been my whole life with all my really good running backs that I've had, and they do a good job with it, but I don't mess with him. You can't coach that stuff that he does. I mean, it's just freakish. So, he'll be all over the field. We're going to put him in places where we can get him the ball, because if he has any space whatsoever, he's just dangerous. And then in the backfield, is Cameron Settles. He commits on August 3rd. He's up there in my top 5 of the running backs that I've had, and maybe even higher. I think this season will be a good testing tool for him, but he's got probably the best hands of any running back that I've ever had. And then we move him on, obviously, Marion Robinson over there, and we just move him all around. And it's just like money. He will be a quarterback. He might be a running back. He may be at a slot, outside receiver. He can just do everything you want him to do. I think he's the best athlete in the state, and I think Ontario Elston's the best football player. And I mean that. I really do. And I think people that have played us would agree. They're just really good players. And then, we go to the offensive line. We're having to fill in 3 spots that we've lost some seniors at, but Jaden Jefferson and Marcurious Hill is our senior back, and he's just done a really good job. He's like a grandpa, man, almost. Like he's been a starter for us since his sophomore year, and he's a leader, and the players respect him because he works hard, and so they listen to him, and so we've got some holes to fill. Travis Warsham's one that's kind of stepped in there, and we got to continue to get stronger on the offensive line. But obviously, Landon Kennedy's a kid that plays defense and offense, and he's a Division I football player too. And so we do a lot of 2 platooning but we have enough depth to where it's not creating an issue especially early on in the season, for kids getting tired. But so you'll see a lot of familiar faces on the O-line, D-line, both sides. But Nigel Farsi, we're really excited about him. I think he's a Division I football player, up and comer. I think people will know who he is after this year. He's 6'2", 285. Going to be a junior. And so those guys, Jermaine Conway is our tight end, H-back. Got really good hands, physical player, really had a good spring. And then defensively, well, let me get out here to receiver. I'm sorry. Kyrick Fulks, returning starter at receiver. Kyron Marshall, 6'4". I think he's an NFL body type receiver, and that's a kid that's under the radar right now, but he's a big time football player. He's 4'5", low 4'5", 6'4", 210. Got great hands. He was in basketball, so he can jump. He's got a 38-inch vertical. So people will probably find out about him this year. And then Jace White, this kid that came over from North Little Rock, he's playing both sides. So he's kind of like a Marion in a way, that he's more of an outside type receiver, running, deep balls and post. And he's a very physical kid and strong. He's about 6'2", 6'3", 190. And then when you move over to the defensive side of the ball, I think we have pretty good defense. And I think our secondary, I would be surprised if there's a better secondary in the state. Just when you look at it on paper and who we got back there. At corner, we got Cameron Settles, Division I player. He's one of the 5 that has a Razorback offer. Safety, you have a Marion Robinson who's going to Oklahoma. At the other side, safety, you have Jace White. He's a Division I player. And at the other corner, you have Jermaine Penny, who's 10.500. He's got he ran a 4.36 40 for us. He broke his record. He had already broken it once. And there's a good chance he'll end up at UCA or ASU. So that's our secondary stout. They're really good. And then when you move interior-wise to our Mike linebacker is Ja'Cory Smith. He's the other one that has the Arkansas offer, and he'll have more probably than anybody we've had here, because he's a 6'1", 200-pound linebacker that's going to be a junior that runs 4.4 speed. I mean, he's just a freak. Has a ton of offers, but we're expecting big things out of him. And Kevin Ellis is our general on defense. He's our outside linebacker. He knows where everybody's supposed to be. One of the smartest football players I've ever been around. And he'll get you lined up, and it may be the secondary. I mean, he can get anybody lined up. Defensive line, it's amazing. He's really, really smart in the classroom. If he was 2 inches taller, he would probably have multiple Division I offers. He was the one that intercepted the first ball in the state championship game and took it to the house. So he's a really good player. He's worked really hard. And then when you get down into the interior defensive line, I think we've really gotten a whole lot better. But Landon Kennedy, let's see here, Marlon Liddell, don't want to leave anybody out, and Nigel Farsi. These are, again, all these same guys you heard about on offense. They can play defense. Jeremy Edwards is a returning defensive end for us. Our other defensive end position was, so we got 2 or 3 guys battling it out, so we'll see where that ends up at the end of this fall camp and who emerges in the Melissa game, that position. But I like the battle. I like the challenge. Each of them are working really hard. So that's kind of, and don't mean to leave anybody out, but that's kind of in a nutshell our group of guys. We have some really, probably one of the top 3 or 4 classes that I've had of 9th graders coming in. Really big linemen and some really good skill guys. I'm excited about those guys as well.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about what it means for your players to put on the Parkview uniform. Obviously, even outside of football, this school has a lot of history. Basketball, there's a lot of state titles, and both men's and women's. So, just tell me about what it means to your players to put on that uniform and what it means to them to play for this school.
I'll be honest with you, the first year didn't mean anything. And you go 0-10, and it wouldn't have mattered who would have been here coaching them. It was just a bad situation. you got to give credit. I mean, basketball, man, I mean, you can't duplicate that. I mean, that's just amazing what they've been able to do there. And so it's kind of nice to see it, that they're still winning, and then the football program's starting to win. And it's kind of really like the old days, and they were very talented back in the days and very good on basketball and football in the 70s and 80s when they were just whipping everybody. And we really don't share, Thurman and I don't really share a lot of players, a couple. But nowadays, you know, kind of most of the players are just really focusing on one sport. We have a few guys playing multiple sports, but I think our guys now, they wear it to bed, Parkview to bed. I mean, they want people to know they play at Parkview, and you know that makes me feel good. It makes me feel good as a coach. It makes me proud of the coaches that I've had here, because you got to give credit to where credit's due. My staff is responsible for this program being to where it is. So I may be the head coach, but I've had some very good coaches that have busted their tails, and a lot of them are moved on. Clay Benberg's the new head coach at Lone Oak, and he's the one that really contributed to helping kids have that pride about wearing a Parkview P.
You guys at Parkview have created a standard of winning, and everybody expects you guys to be playing in the state title game at War Memorial every year. So tell me what it means to you guys and your players and your staff and yourself to have a successful season here at Parkview.
Yeah, so I mean they don't expect to lose. So I mean it's and I don't mean that at all to be arrogant or cocky, because that's not what we're about. If you watch us play, we play the game the way it's supposed to be played. If we hit you, we're gonna help you up. We ain't gonna stand over you and talk trash. We don't do that. That's not what we're about. Now, we're gonna hit you again, but we're gonna help you up again. I mean, I think that part of the program where we are, our kids don't come in this building ever expecting to lose. And they know throughout the week what our expectations are, because we I don't want to use the word force it onto them, but they get it throughout the week, and they know. This is a beautiful thing about our having really good players. It's like a college, so when you go out, you make your practices so competitive that they're gonna get better. They have to, or someone's gonna beat them out. They're gonna get passed up. So I mean, it's a very. I tell people all the time, if you want to come watch a fun practice, come watch ours, especially when we start getting into where group again on big groups against big group. It is competitive, and that's where I think we have really turned the corner into being a really good program. Is we've got all these really good players, and they're just naturally love to compete. And when you go out there on that practice field, I love it, man. I love our practices and our kids' mindset. When they go out there, it's business. As soon as they get off that track and hit the grass, it's business for them.
Mm-hmm. All right, this has been an interview with Coach Brad Bolding, the head football coach here at Parkview High School in Little Rock. Coach Bolding, is there anything you want to say about your team or your program before we sign off here?
No, I'm just thankful that you guys cover high school football the way you are, and grateful for that. I think our state is getting so much better, producing more players, and some really good football. Proud to be a part of Arkansas high school football in this state, and wouldn't want to be anywhere else. Thank you.
All right, I'm Carson Ward for Arkansas Sports Network. You can find Arkansas Sports Network on Facebook, YouTube, X, and Instagram. We have a lot more interviews with coaches from all around the state for our hometown sports football preview on the way, coming out before the season starts. So we will see you then.
Thanks again for joining us on the Arkansas Sports Network's Hometown Sports Football Preview. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Arkansas Sports Network on YouTube to catch more previews and all the latest updates on your favorite teams.